If I had to describe Silksong, I would refer to it as a callback to the old days, when AAA titles were not $80, and if you can remember when video games were $20, and not 3 hours long while demanding you break down a paywall to gain access to the full version, then you've been around for quite a while. This game is young, less than 2 weeks old, and yet in the first few hours alone, it is suspected to have sold over 10 million copies. Imagine how many they've sold by now. The hype is still kicking too. So many people were getting it on Steam that they actually crashed the servers. Not an easy feat to manage, and as is the case with any monumental or even just relevant success, you have some salty bitches. For example, here we have an article from Polygon. As you can see right from the title, it's already hostile. Man plans, God laughs. Only in this case, God is a tiny bug with a really sharp sword. Knight Silksong comes out September 4th, marking the conclusion of a years-long hype cycle. It comes with just 2 weeks of advance notice. Already no less than 5 games have shifted their planned release dates out of next week, some by months. I really only have just one question. What the hell, you guys? So yeah, they're fuming. Now all this article really is the act of them complaining about how Silksong's release ruined the whole schedule machine, and how them not announcing its release until only 2 weeks before publishing the game is such a bad thing. As well as teasing them about the game having been delayed for a few years as if that's the end of the world, and sort of suggesting that Team Cherry just isn't a high-quality developer because of it. At the very least, that seems like what they're implying. I mean, why mention it otherwise? First announced in 2019, Knight Silksong started out as an expansion to developer Team Cherry's incandescently sized popular Metroidvania, but quickly evolved into a full-sized game. Despite hints in 22 that it would release within a year, it was delayed indefinitely in 2023, and has largely stayed absent from gaming publicity events since. Along the way, Silksong has become a bona fide meme, a staple in subreddits, YouTube chats, and social media feeds. But this isn't to discount the widespread anticipation. The original Hollow Knight has sold an estimated 15 million copies, a massive number for any game, let alone an indie. Like, it's completely off topic from everything talked about in the following paragraphs. But this isn't to discount the widespread anticipation. Yeah, you say that while throwing shade at them. Regardless of what Polygon says, Team Cherry really aren't obliged to care about whether or not the release of their game affects others. Plenty of games shadow drop and nobody cares in those instances. It's called competition. Like, if you create music for a living and another band shadow drops a banger, are you gonna get mad? Or are you gonna get better? And it's not just the journalists that are mad either. Take a look at this developer, a guy named RJ. Silksong honestly should cost $40, and I'm not even joking. I won't go as far as to say it's bad, it doesn't, but it will have effects. And not all of those effects are good. Like, I am personally glad it's so cheap for me personally. It makes picking it up a no-brainer. The problem is that the gamer is a creature very bad at knowing why things cost what they do. Now, referring to your customers as creatures is a bit dehumanizing, but to be fair, he's not wrong in assuming that the average gamer will not know how much is spent on making a game. Like, most of us aren't going to know how much money it took to make a certain hallway connecting 2 maps, and the aesthetic within it, stuff like that. However, it really isn't the gamer's responsibility to care or be knowledgeable on matters of that nature. He's not completely stupid, but this guy clearly doesn't understand the feelings or perspective of the average gamer. It does not end here though. Millions of people will probably buy Silksong on day one, and it was a game that had a very low budget. Because the budget is these devs worked on it without direct pay for however long they wanted to do that. It had a these devs are independently wealthy budget of effectively $0. Curiously enough, RJ is not wrong on this front either. Team Cherry had a privilege afforded to them which very few others in the game development sphere get. They made millions off of the original Hollow Knight. In fact, they made enough to where if it was not desired, they could very well likely not have to work a day in their life for the rest of time. So naturally, this gave them the ability to take their time and do it right, work out anything and everything they could possibly need to, in order to make sure Silksong was firing at its full capacity from day one, and deliver seamless controls along with a widespread roster of enemies, bosses, merchants, side characters, maps, interactables, you name it. But it's exactly for what I just said not too long ago that you should appreciate Silksong all the more. They didn't need the money that it would rake in, which just goes to show that the game was a labor of love, an expression of appreciation towards the massive fandom they created through the booming success of the original. There's no battle pass or $30 skin pack, no requirement to sign up for a subscription or an email account just to log in. You open the game and you get a good old loading screen. There you go, a 35 to 70 hour adventure all for you, and all for a reasonable price. He continues, they can price however low they want. As a result, their return on investment is infinite no matter what they do. But by charging such a low amount, they are causing lizard brain signals to fire off saying, this kind of game is worth $20. You should expect this game for $20. And there you go, he's mad that it's $20 because he's afraid we'll come to expect more out of the gaming industry in the future. Here's the way I look at it. At people like this anyways. You can get mad at game devs for charging $70 and another $30 for the battle pass, and filling it with microtransactions that you are hard-pressed to call micro. But it's a good look into human psychology. These people are lazy. It's not just a bunch of elitist pricks in suits, though that is a factor. They aren't going to be happy with Silksong because it does reveal just how overbloated the gaming industry is in terms of cost per game. And the fact that it's so cheap means it's more affordable, and that many will have less reservations about buying it. I mean, hell, even pirates are encouraging others to buy this one. You know you've made a good game when you manage to stuff your Wiener Schnitzel in the wallet of Captain Jack Sparrow of all people. You could buy 3 copies of Silksong for the price of a modern game, and even 5 copies if you're looking at the prices for games like Mario Kart and Zelda up in Canada. But it's at least understandable why they would fall into this trap of laziness and entitlement and be angry. And personally, I think it's hilarious. Now, I don't think anyone is expecting a game of $20 to generally be of Silksong level quality. Its success just shows that players are not and don't want to gravitate towards overpriced slop that makes them have to ration their grocery charges, assuming they even decide to buy it in the first place though. And it doesn't exactly help when you refer to your potential customer base as lizard brains. Not once, but multiple times. Overall, this dude just seems envious as fuck. And he's not doing a very good job at hiding it. This is like if you lived in a neighborhood with 2 gas stations. One of them is really racist and treats you like crap, and the other one has normal and well-adjusted staff. Both have similar prices, but which one are you more likely to go to for your needs and wants? And then you got this apparent game creator who also shows the envy of the industry by leaving this tweet. This is a fair statement, and quite honestly, Team Cherry really does a disservice to the industry and other developers, pricing Silksong so low. The level of work, craftsmanship, years, and you charge $20? I get being pro-consumer, but this would be infuriating to your colleagues and in turn, distort gamers' sense of worth. Yeah, you hear that? You aren't worth a $20 game. Now fork over that green for my new battle pass, so I can buy 3 yachts this year. Honestly, this is just offensive. Like, we don't expect anything out of you people who have inflated the pricing of games over the years, but do you really have to show your disdain for gamers so publicly with such a flagrant statement? You sound like a cartoon villain twirling his mustache, but you're stuck in a goofy-ass universe where you take the L at the end of every scheme and just all around have to be the butt of the joke. You're not a threat to anything, you're just a laughingstock, and that's just sad. You've got no aura, brother. And when someone pointed out that you can enjoy a game while still getting your cheeks clapped by the insurmountable enemy known as a broken economy and overall life responsibilities, Jason here won't give up his comically narcissistic internet alter ego as he responds with this. If you can't afford $40 for a video game, you shouldn't be buying video games. You have bigger problems. That might sound insensitive, but so be it. If $20 is the deciding difference between a purchase or not, you gotta get your life in order before playing video games, man. This is very clearly a perspective of privilege. It's easy to say you have to get your life in order, but he speaks as if it's just that easy. As if Rome wasn't built in a day. Many gamers are in their 20s and live paycheck to paycheck. I myself get by from day to day by having to eat a single can of SpaghettiOs because I can't afford fast food or a $15 bag of frozen chicken. And snacks don't tend to last. By the way, you can help me fix that. And then you have other guys and gals in their 20s that have things like college debt, car payments, bills, rent, an inflated economy that wants to see them buried in misery because for some reason, milk costs $6 for a gallon. A worst case scenario, all of them at the same time. So by your logic, these people should just snap their fingers and straighten up as if student loan debt is just a minor inconvenience. For a lot of people, getting their life in order takes a good decade, going into their 30s. And if you don't have good parents to lean on, then it's even worse. By your logic, I should just not play video games throughout my 20s. Finances are not really something you can make such blanket generalizations on. You can't really judge someone for their finances or just how responsible they are with those finances. Unless you know the person personally and have the context on their vices to really judge them accordingly. But I can't really see you having many friends to begin with, let alone gamers. And it's a proven fact that in times of financial struggle, people will indulge more in escapism via the pleasantries of life. If you were really a game developer, then you would want to take advantage of that fact, not financially shame your consumer base, while having this holier-than-thou, I-know-best attitude. On the other hand, though, you have this developer who saw the success and price of Silksong and is calling into question the value of their game. You can see that game right here, a 2D platform, looks kinda cute. Just go around playing as a mushroom. Reminds me of those mushrooms from Dark Souls. The thing about Silksong is that it is generously priced, more so than most games would cost for $20. And this user clearly knew this as suggested by his response. Dude, charge $20. Price is not about the game, it's about context. They are able to price $20 for a bigger game because they stem to receive a million times the cost. You are a small company, dude, charge $20, you deserve that. Going back to Team Cherry, Silksong would not have been so cheap if they needed the money. What these AAA devs don't understand is that reputation is a huge factor in customer loyalty. The original Hollow Knight is a modern classic beloved by many. People are going to buy Silksong no matter how much it cost, but by making it so cheap, Team Cherry was able to appeal to both sides of the fan base. Both the people who would play it even if it was $60 to $80 and the others who have the patience to wait years until it becomes cheaper. Oh, well, let's just play this. What the fuck are we doing watching Rev Says Desu videos when we should be playing Silksong? All in all, it's really telling of the state of the game industry when you have games like Silksong and instead of propping up their fellow devs, AAA creators, and even indie creators in some instances, would rather tear them down because they're essentially afraid to work harder. Because that means they can't drip feed content to players over the course of months, if not years, instead of moving on to newer prospects. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, then you know what to do. I am planning on making a new series called The Brilliance of. Insert random gaming topic here, for the purpose of writing analysis to take a break from the usual slop and bullshit that I talk about and rant about. And I may be making more Silksong videos. I'm really enjoying the game. So go and play it while you're still alive and in the process of existing.